In case it wasn't obvious, the title, it's a joke. I feel like most people would understand that. Well, anyways, Neuvillette is getting a rerun next update in 5.2. He's already made a name for himself in the Genshin community, so let's talk about why Neuvillette is one of, if not the most broken characters in this game. Remember to sub and like if you enjoyed, it would really mean a lot to the channel. Thanks, I really appreciate it, guys. What makes Neuvillette so broken? Today I'm gonna try and give a quick and to the point analysis of why he's so good, and a reason why he's been so popular ever since his release. Let's start with his kit. His skill and burst generate these water droplets after being activated. These water droplets are used to increase the progress of his unique charge attack. When activating the charge attack, he will consume nearby water droplets and decrease the time needed to activate it. He only needs 3 to get max charge, and he will also recover HP depending on the amount consumed. When using this hydro pump-like attack, he will unleash a huge blast of water in front of him and will steadily drain his own HP, lasting for 3 seconds. The ideal situation for a Neuvillette setup is to use his skill and ult off cooldown so that he can have constant uptime for his charge attack. His charge attack is the most important part of his kit and is what makes him so good. Why is his charge attack so good, you might ask? Well, if you couldn't tell, the hitbox on this thing is abnormally huge, and this also does not account for a certain forbidden technique. This makes AoE content a joke for Neuvillette. As long as enemies are lined up in the general direction that you're facing, it shouldn't really be a problem since the hitbox is so big anyways. If Neuvillette is so good in AoE, surely this means he isn't as good in single target, right? Wrong. He's also really good in single target as well. The scalings from Neuvillette are really good, and he also gains a crazy amount of damage bonus from his passive abilities. His A1 passive can give up to 160 damage bonus from his charge attack if 3 different hydro reactions have occurred, and it has a very high uptime of 30 seconds. His A2 passive gives up to 30% hydro damage bonus scaling on his HP. In short, Neuvillette being an on-field hydro character brings so much value. His hydro application is decently fast, he has good damage, he's easy to use, has self-sustain, it works in almost every scenario imaginable. Being a member of the hydro element also plays a big role, since almost every hydro-related reaction is pretty strong. This also is really good for Neuvillette since his passive incentivizes people to use him with other elements. Generally, support characters are more valuable than DPS. In the case of Neuvillette and other hydro appliers, being able to apply hydro for the rest of your team is a way to support them as it allows them to also contribute to overall damage. Neuvillette can simultaneously support his team and get help from them at the same time. It's like a constant feedback loop of support for the entire team. In comparison to a lot of the other hydro characters, his kit by itself brings so much more value to the table in my opinion. His uptime isn't directly tied to a long cooldown since you can generate the droplets and leave them there to use whenever you would like. This also allows him to not get punished by swapping off-field too early, which is one of the biggest reasons why Child and Ioto aren't as strong in my opinion. Yelan and Xingqiu are also really good, but are also heavily dependent on their ult cooldown and energy regeneration. Neuvillette also has the ability to do damage from a distance, which I feel like is something people may overlook at times. It's a very valuable asset to have since most enemies have short-range attacks, and the ability to do damage outside of that range is very important since you won't need to worry about staggering or damage loss because of knockback. The ability to have so much uptime, damage, and support is what makes Neuvillette so good. Let's talk about his builds and teams. Neuvillette is probably the most accessible and free-to-play friendly character in the game. Prototype Amber is a really good free-to-play weapon for him as it provides HP, and the passive is also really useful for his teams, especially with Farina. For light spenders, you can also use the Battle Pass weapon since it gives crit rate and HP bonus, and his best in slot is obviously really good for him. For artifacts, you almost always want to use Marushosei because Neuvillette can easily activate the free crit rate bonus since his charge attack drains his own HP. Before we talk about teams, I want to mention Neuvillette's C1 because it can play a part in team builds, and some people may go for it since this is his 3rd banner, I believe. If you made up your mind already, you can ignore what I have to say, but for those who are on the fence, feel free to listen. His C1 gives him knockback resist during his charge attack and gives him a free stack of his A1 passive. Although it can help with team building, I personally feel like half of the value of C1 is kind of pointless since he does have the ability to do damage from a distance, and there is also always the option of using a shield character as well. And with Zhongli getting another rerun, I feel like this is something important that a lot of people should consider. Anyways, back to team building. Since Neuvillette is a hydro character, his team options are going to be more flexible than average average, he can pretty much work in any team archetype that you can imagine. My personal favorite teams are Taser and Hyper Carry. I'm not really a fan of Vaporize, since Neuvillette doesn't gain anything from using Bennett, but it's still an option if you would like. If you go for Neuvillette, I highly recommend getting Farina as well, because she is by far one of his best teammates. He's still going to be good without her, but the damage that she can provide synergizes so well with his kit. You also can use a shield, however playing from a distance will feel very comfortable once you get used to it. It is okay to dodge once in a while since Neuvillette's droplet generation is pretty consistent. So yeah, Neuvillette is a really good character, arguably the best character in the game even after 1 year of being released. His damage is good, his flexibility is good, he has self-sustain, he's easy to play, and easy to build as well. There's not really much more you can ask for. I find it fitting that Neuvillette is this strong, as he's probably the strongest playable character in terms of gameplay and story. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, guys. Remember to sub and like if you haven't, it's always greatly appreciated. Good luck to everyone pulling in the new update. Have a good night and day wherever you're at, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace and take care. Have a good one.